in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Daytona International Speedway, the track where we started off the season, is a track we come back to, but the conditions are different. It was the daytime. The sun was beating down on the track when we ran the Daytona 500. It's cooler here tonight. The sun's going down below the horizon, and the track conditions are a little bit cooler here tonight, and cooler conditions means more grip. More grip means drivers are going to be more aggressive, and more aggressive means a more exciting race for the fans, especially with the fact that we are drawing ever closer to the end of the regular season here for Season 6 of the Hersheys Cup Series. The chase towards the chase for the championship continues on, and boy, these last few weeks have been absolutely something, let me tell you what. We've ended up having the tear of B Allan, as she has now locked herself up a spot in the playoffs. Go back a couple of weeks ago to Thornton. Charles Sandfer now puts his name into the ring as a driver that may compete for the championship this year. And last week at Rockingham, North Carolina, the defending champion of the series, Trent Dunham, is back in to reclaim his title as he took the checkered flag and now puts himself in a position to be in one of the 16 spots in this season's playoff grid. But at the same time, we're now getting towards the point of the season as well. Even with 16, it seems like a lot, 16 available slots in the playoffs. Right now, the way it's situated, we got drivers that are in the top 30 in points, that have a win, that are not currently in the playoff grid. Those drivers would include Benny Watson, who's 24th in points, and Benjamin Miles, who's 25th in points. Tonight, the big battle on track may be between Dallas McIntosh, Dylan Poteet, Benny Watson, and Benjamin Miles. They all have one win. They are all 22nd through 25th in the point standings, and they're separated by only 10 points, those four. Right now, McIntosh and Poteet are in slots 15 and 16. Watson and Miles, they're on the outside looking in. A big reason why this took place is because not only did we have a different winner in Trent Dunham last week, but also Dylan Young, with a decent outing at Rockingham, managed to race his way back into the top 30 in the points, and he's a two-time winner, which means he automatically leapfrogs all those drivers with one win. So Dylan Young, coming into this race 29th in the point standings, only a meager 2 points over that 30th in the standings cut line, needs another good run here tonight at his home track. We'll see if he can do it, and if he can, maybe, just maybe, Dylan Young can keep himself in the top 30 in points and not fall back outside of that danger zone. On the pole position here tonight, going to be Tim Walsh. Walsh looking for his first multi-win season of his Hersheys Cup Series career after he picked up his first win of the season back at Sonoma. Let's get the command real quick.
Start your engines.
And alongside of him, K Mathews, a former champion of the series, still looking for his first win of the season. He is right on the cut line, 30th in the point standings, so he definitely could use a good run here tonight. Then you got a couple of drivers lining up there in row 2, former teammates at the beginning of the season. Jordan Anderson, the defending Pizza Hut X Series champion, so close, so many times to getting a victory. He is the highest running driver in the points without a win, has been for maybe the last 10 weeks or so, but he has not been able to close the deal. Maybe he can do it here tonight, and alongside of him, Shane Lake, there in the 55, finished runner-up in the Dover race to Benny Watson, who's restarting right behind him. And Shane had that amazing save last week as well at Rockingham. I mean, you got a lot of rookies actually starting near the front here. Rows 2 and 3 comprised of rookies, as you got row 3 with Elijah Gilbert and Benny Watson. Keep in mind, Watson right now comes into this race 18th of the 16 championship-seeded drivers right now with a win. It's Daytona. It's the track that seems to cater to the underdog. It definitely plays a factor in the playoff standings, but like I said, our spotlight tonight will basically be on 4 drivers that are battling for that final playoff position should we not have another different winner here tonight. McIntosh, our Daytona 500 winner from earlier on this season, back at the track that started it all. Dylan Poteet, who's been on a major skid in the last 5 weeks or so. Benny Watson and Benjamin Miles trying to recover and get back into playoff contention. We're going to have to see what happens here tonight. Another driver I think we should spotlight too is Kyle Keith. Last time the Pizza Hut X Series drivers were here last season, he went to victory lane. He's in this field here tonight, another Florida native in this field. But here we go, 32 laps of racing. Green flag is out, let's roll. And in our Tax Layer Truck Series race, we ran 24 laps and nobody could make it on fuel. Had 8 laps on here tonight, so we know that whether we end up having cautions or whether we go clean and green all the way, there will be pit stop, at least one, that these drivers will all have to make before this checkered flag waves. Tim Walsh gets out ahead. Maybe a little too far ahead. We'll have to see. As Jordan Anderson, Elijah Gilbert rather, on that inside line. Anderson now jumps up top. That opens the door down low for the 98. Right now, Tim Walsh kind of harding it, trying to control the different lanes, not let either one get much of a run. Inside line got a big run there through turn 1, though. Walsh went down to block the momentum. Talked about how Daytona caters to the underdog or the driver struggling in points. I see a driver right there near the front that really would fit the bill in that, and that's a 42 of Blaine Keys, dead last in the point standings, and what could very well be his swan song season. A lot of rumors about him possibly retiring at the end of the year. If you didn't tune into our Truck Series race, Michael Norman Motorsports had a 1-2 finish with Easton Barber and Melody Baker. I see a few of the Michael Norman Motorsports cars up here at the front for the start of this race. Brooke Allan in the 3, and about 2 cars behind her is the 4 of Daniel Gilbert, who's the only Michael Norman Motorsports driver not to have a Hersheys Cup Series win this year. Joshua Collard going to victory lane earlier on this year at Bristol Dirt, and of course Brooke Allan with 3 trips to victory lane this season, all coming within the last 10 weeks. As Brooke's going to go to the inside of Brandon Gonzales, that is for 4th place. And rookie Jordan Anderson will follow her into the top 5. If you look back there, that light blue Oreo Chevrolet is former champion Chris Dodd, and of course last week there was a lot of, I don't know if it was tension or what, but something really went wrong with CJ Racing at Rockingham when Chris Dodd made an unscheduled pit stop. He came off turn 2 onto the back straightaway right in front of his teammate Leon Alvarez, who was battling at the time for the lead. LePage, his teammate, they went up into the wall, and then K Shearer, another teammate, was also collected. The only driver that got away from that incident unscathed is the driver you're looking at right now, the race leader, Tim Walsh. The other 3 ended up getting damaged. 2 of them, Alvarez and Chris Dodd, finished out of the race. K Shearer finished multiple laps down as he got lapped a couple times on the last green flag run. Well, last week we saw Trent Dunham go to victory lane. It was the 2nd win of the season for Sega Motorsports, so that leaves just Blaine Keys to try and find victory lane there in that 42. And Blaine Keys' last win in the Hersheys Cup Series was back in season 4, I think it was, when he won the regular season finale at M&M Super Speedway. It was actually his teammate Trent Dunham that helped him get that win. And Keys, with the help of Brooke Allan now, is going to go to the top spot. So Tim Walsh loses the lead, and the U.S. Army Chevy Camaro will take over for the time being. think that was season 4. I could double check, but I'm pretty sure it was. I don't think Blaine Keys made the chase last year. No, it was season 4. I was right. See, sometimes I'm right and sometimes I'm wrong. It depends on the day, I guess. Mention about Dylan Poteet on a huge skid. I mean, last week he ended up going into Rockingham, North Carolina, 15th in the point standings. And then after Rockingham, he fell 8 spots to 23rd in the points. And this is a guy that was dominating at the top of the point standings for a good portion of the first half of the regular season, and a little bit of the second half of the regular season. But then after Joshua Collard ran him down and took the points lead over, Poteet has not been able to find any luck whatsoever. Well, he is 6th on that inside line right now, running behind his Tweenix Racing teammate Alex Drayton. So we'll see if he can finally bounce back and get that finish that he really needs. Levi McIntire making some moves there. He'll now try going for second on Jordan Anderson. McIntire had a great save last week at Rockingham too. He didn't get a great finish, but after Shane Lake made his save, McIntire went down on the apron of the entrance of turn 3. The car fishtailed underneath him. Somehow he was able to keep the thing from spinning out. I think he ended up almost sliding up into Charles Sandfer on that wreck, and he had a great save. Driver that finished runner-up last week, to Trent Dunham, is making his way towards the front of the field. Right behind Sean Gallighan, that white and gold Lincoln Continental of Keith Batson was so close to picking up his second career Hershey's Cup Series victory and first of the season, but just couldn't close the deal. We also should keep tabs as well on the 21 J Srigley, because Srigley finished 3rd last week, and one of his cars went to victory lane last night with Diego Yepes in the Pizza Hut X Series race. So you got to think some very valuable information was probably passed on to Joseph Srigley for tonight's event. Starting to get a little anxious there in the middle of the pack. They're 3 wide. And how about this? Dylan Poteet was working with teammate Alex Drayton and then stepped out of line on his teammate, moves to 2nd place. So not willing to work together this early on, I guess. K Shearer there, that 34, trying to work his way up here, trying to bounce back from the poor performance I mentioned that he had last week at Rockingham, North Carolina. We got teammates, husband and wife, those Lincoln Continentals, 3rd and 4th on that inside line, Keith Batson and Kat Batson. Keith looking for his first win since last year at Kansas, and Kat's looking for her first win since Watkins Glen back in season 3. Race leader, Sean Gallighan in the 44. Gallighan comes into this race 19th in the point standings. A few weeks ago, he was pretty much in the top 15 in the points for most of the weeks. Coming into this race, he is one of 3 Seth Cole Baker Motorsports cars that has not won this year. The only one that's gone to victory lane was Anthony McCrury, and that was back at Phoenix. Gallighan, Baker, and Elijah Gilbert all still looking for victory lane, and Sean Gallighan maybe can get it done here tonight. Let's take a look and see who the former winners are in the Hershey's Cup Series in our second visit to the Daytona International Speedway. In season 1, we actually only went to Daytona once, and that was the season opener. We didn't have a second Daytona race. We didn't have a second Daytona race until, I believe, season 3, as I've not seen a second Daytona race for season 2. So season 3 was the debut season when Daytona made a second appearance on the schedule. Jessica Shelton was the inaugural winner of that. We saw her up at the front just a moment ago, and now she's gotten kicked to the high side and is dropping back. Whoa, that was a close block there on Kyle Mathews there on Keith Batson. Season 4, our winner at Daytona was Dylan Poteet, so no surprise that we saw him up here towards the front just moments ago. And then last year, the defending winner of this race, also in this field, Charles Sandfer, who went to victory lane a few weeks ago for the first time this season at Thornton. We haven't really seen the 03 come up to the front yet, but it's still early. Benny Watson, one of those drivers right now on the outside of the playoffs looking in, even though he's got a win this season. He's now worked up into the top 5, along with Johnny Gardner there in the 7. We're now 12 laps into this. Let's find out where those 4 drivers are currently running that I was talking about. We've got a race lead change. Keith Batson will take the spot from Sean Gallighan. 4 drivers that are battling for those final 2 playoff spots right now. McIntosh, Poteet, Watson, and Miles. Obviously the highest run is Watson as he's trying to go for the race lead here, but they're going to go 3 wide. Here comes Johnny Gardner to the bottom. Shades of Jeff Gordon. So Watson's obviously the highest running. Next highest is McIntosh. He scored last time by in 12th. Poteet currently scored in 17th. And boy, you got to go a long ways down. Where in the world? Well, they crossed the line, so it updated itself. Is Miles, 31st. Then again, it's Daytona. It's still early, so those drivers that are at the back could be up at the front in a matter of a few laps. Here comes Watson looking for the top spot. This is important for Benny Watson because this is a very valuable bonus point if he can get a lap led. And here comes Daniel Voyles. Voyles had a very quiet outing last week at Rockingham, North Carolina, but came away with a 4th place finish. He kind of popped up into the top 5 in the closing stages, and I still hold to what I said. He and Jordan Anderson were running 4th and 5th at the time. If they had had 2 or 3 more laps, very likely either Voyles or Anderson could have won that race because they were closing in on the top 3, Trent Dunham, Keith Batson, and Joseph Srigley very, very quickly. So I still hold to what I said. I think that if we had had a little bit longer distance on that race, I think Daniel Voyles could very well have taken that checkered flag for the 2nd time this season. Look at him, 3 wide, 2-3 rows deep now. The anticipation, the aggressiveness is certainly kicked up. Now, I'm trying to remember what the fuel window was for the truck series. I think it was something like 18 to 20 laps, so I think we're getting close to the point when these drivers are going to have to start to think about green flag pit stops. Here comes our Daytona 500 winner, Dallas McIntosh, and another former Daytona 500 winner right behind him, Chris Dodd, who took the Daytona 500 back in Season 5. McIntosh trying to go for the Daytona sweep. Rookie Benny Watson trying to hold him off, and Watson's teammate, J Baskinger in the 38, not too far behind. Last year ended the streak for J Baskinger making the playoffs at 4 straight seasons. He comes into this race currently situated 35th in points. But our last 2 race winners this weekend, Easton Barber in Trucks and Diego Yepes in Pizza X Series, came into this race, won the events, and they were outside the top 30 in the points too. So Baskinger would certainly fit the bill of the kind of trend that we've been on here tonight. Now here comes Keith Batson, 3 wide for 2nd place, being followed by the 11 of James Richardson. Now Richardson had a good run going last week at Rockingham, but let's see, where did he actually finish out that race? He was up towards the front, finished 13th. Only problem is it didn't really situate him any better in the points than when he came into that race. He came in 38th, he left 38th, and right now, the drivers that would be in the final 5 spots in the points coming into this race that, if the season were to end now, would lose their charters are James Richardson, Joshua Ciculli, fell down into that danger zone after last week, and Jessica Shelton, Kat Batson, and Lane Keys also down there as well. Keith Batson, though, boy, he's got a fast race car, and that fast race car is coming to pit road, and will start the cycle of pit stops. Benny Watson's going to follow him, along with Daniel Voyles, Ciculli, Keys, Sandfer, Alvarez, Cole Baker, and a host of others. And that turns the race lead over to the 11 of James Richardson. So here we go. This is the money stop. This is probably the only pit stop these drivers are going to have to make tonight, and so the pit crews better make good on it. That was a big pack of race cars that came to pit road there for that first group, so they are if they're all going to be able to come off pit road together, they are going to produce some pretty good speed. See how many drivers come to pit road this lap. Is it going to be everybody else, or is anybody going to be risky and stay out to try and get a bonus point for leading a lap? R.J. Reynolds now up there. He was in second. Here comes Poteet to pit road. A couple of drivers staying out. Chris Dodd, Fitzwater, McIntosh, K Shearer, and I think that was Baskinger staying out. So 5 drivers decide to stay out here. 2 drivers from CJ Racing, 1 from Segment Motorsports, 1 from Flying Aces Racing, and 1 from Fitzwater Australia Racing. So at least none of these 5 stayed out all by their lonesome. And look at McIntosh. He's going to go by Chris Dodd, which means he will probably be the ringleader of bringing this group of 5 to pit road. This may be a little sketchy, though, because they're catching right up to J Sandfer. Yeah, they're letting off. They're going to make it. Any earlier, if they caught the 03, that might have been a problem. And so these 5 coming to pit road will complete the cycle of green flag pit stops. Now let's jump to, there's Richardson. There's Batson. He was the first one to hit pit road. So let's jump to the 39 and see how everyone formulates around the 39 car. Looks like James Richardson and R.J. Reynolds, they're going to come off pit road ahead of these guys. However, the 39, 24, 26 are going to have a lot more speed, a lot more momentum. They've been out there an extra lap. So I think when they catch the 11 and the 69, they're just going to blow right by them. Oh, maybe not. I think Watson wanted to go to the outside. Reynolds moved up, so Watson had to quickly shift gears and go to the low side. And here come those 5 that stayed out that extra time there. They're going to get bypassed very easily. McIntosh and Fitzwater. So it looks like with the cycling of the pit stops, it looks like the 11 of James Richardson could very well be emerging as the top driver. Richardson looking for his first win of the season. His last win came last season at Sonoma. And now he's going to lose the race lead. And Watson will go back to the front. Daniel Voyles will push him there. Out of our top 5 here in this lead group, 3 of them have been to victory lane. Watson, Voyles, and Reynolds. Watson winning his first win of his career at Dover. Reynolds winning the first win of his career a few weeks ago at Springfield. And Daniel Voyles winning the first win of his career in, I believe it was it Darlington? Yes. So when they come around this next time, we should have the running order after the cycle of green flag pit stops. There are only 5 drivers up in this lead pack, and only 2 of them have not yet been to victory lane, Richardson and Batson. Let's give you as good a rundown as we can. So Watson crosses the line as the leader. Voyles is second. Richardson third. 4th place at the line was R.J. Reynolds. Keith Batson is in 5th. 6th place was Zachary Fitzwater. Dallas McIntosh 7th. 8th is Leon Alvarez. J.T. Bryant in 9th. And Dylan Poteet in 10th. But that is certainly shaped up differently now as Brooke Allen's in this group with Trent Dunham, Cody Smart, Charles Sandfer, Sean Gallighan, and Brandon Gonzales. Joshua Ciculli and Jake Baskinger trying to hold on to the tail end of this group. They were scored last time by in 17th and 18th. 19th place right now, Shane Lake. 20th, Alex Drayton. 21st, Johnny Gardner. 22nd, Benjamin. 23rd, Joshua Collard. 24th, Levi McIntire. Got Daniel Gilbert, Blaine Keys, Seth Cole, Chris Dodd, Cole Baker, Emmanuel Hartnett, Kat Batson, Kev Shearer, Kyle Mathews in this group. And Shearer is going to cross the line in 33rd. Then you got another group back here with Joseph Srigley, pole sitter Tim Walsh, Anthony McCrury, J Arndt, Kyle Keith, who I thought was going to be a player in this, but he's way back here, along with J Arndt and J McCloud. That's back through 39th. Jessica Shelton right now in 40th, a former winner here. 41st is Dylan Young, and Jordan Anderson back in 42nd. This is not good for the 2 car. It's almost kind of like what's going on with Nathan Hudson in the Pizza Hut X Series. A good run, back in the top 30 in points. A bad run, fall outside the top 30 in points. Then another good run, back in the top 30 in points. It's kind of an up and down kind of thing, and that's not what Dylan Young was looking for here tonight, not only with the fact that, there's a playoff position on the line, dependent on him being in the top 30 in points, but also the fact this is his home track. Well, one of his two home tracks. He also kind of considers Chicagoland a home track as well. Benny Watson right now has been able to keep his distance ahead of Daniel Voyles. Voyles hasn't had much help behind him in terms of trying to help push him by the 24. That could be with the fact that we have so few cars up in this lead pack. There's only 5 of them up here. We've also got it where there's a Chevy, a Hyundai, a Toyota, a Lincoln, and a Ford. There's no alliance with any of these manufacturers. So the gap that I am watching for, as we are nearing 6 laps to go, is the gap from the race leader, Benny Watson, back to 6th place, which is the head of this second pack, being led by Dallas McIntosh. Last time by, they were 3.25 seconds back. There are only 5 cars up in the lead pack. There's about maybe 12, maybe 13 cars in this second pack. And it looks like visibly they are starting to catch this top 5. Let's see what the gap is this time. Does it increase or decrease from 3.25? It's going to increase by about 0.3. I think a big reason for that was the top 5 drivers decided to get single file. If they start racing each other, that gap's going to close up quickly. But for now, running single file, they're producing a lot more speed than this second pack because they're all racing double wide. And now here you go. This is going to open up the door for that second pack to start closing in because they're going to race double wide here in this lead pack. It breaks the draft, it breaks the momentum, and as consequence, hurts the lap times. Let's see if the gap closed up this time because of that little shuffle breaking up this draft. 3.5 seconds. Does it close? No, it doesn't. It increased. Sometimes I can't figure super speedways out. Regardless, though, Keith Batson does not want to finish runner-up for a second straight week. He's going to go by Richardson to second place, and you can bet he's going to be very aggressive if he can get to the back bumper of Benny Watson. Watson's still not out of the woods yet either because when he hits the line, there's still 4 laps to go in this one. So still plenty of time for pretty much any of these 4 behind him to make a move, although I'm kind of wondering, R Reynolds, the gap between him and Voyles starting to increase a little. I think Reynolds may be losing this top 4. He might be able to get back to him now because of this double wide between Richardson and Batson. Batson tucking back in line behind the 26 will give a little bit of a slipstream to the 69 to catch probably back up here. Yeah, I think he's back in the draft now. So Richardson moves back to second, but you're seeing right here is now Voyles goes for the move. You see there's like about a car length between the 24 and the 11. Nobody that's in second place has really been able to close the gap up between themselves and the Napa Chevrolet. Mentioned that Benny Watson is in that battle for that final playoff position with the likes of Dallas McIntosh, Dylan Poteet, and Benjamin Miles, but if he wins here tonight and gets his second career win, he doesn't have to worry about those guys. He jumps past all of them and joins the likes of Brooke Allen and Alex Drayton as a potentially confirmed driver in this season's chase for the championship. But this ain't over yet. Voyles now in second. He's trying to look for his second career victory. Keith Batson trying to do the same. As a matter of fact, I think all these drivers, with the exception of James Richardson, are looking for their second career win. And all 3, with the exception of Batson, got their first career win this year. Batson got his last year. Batson looking low on Voyles. Reynolds did not go with him. Reynolds pays the price as a result. He'll lose 4th to Richardson. As it's 1.5 laps to go, and big question is, are they going to be willing to work together to gang up on the 24? I think that's their only chance. They're not seeming to want to work together, and so they are paying the price for it and only get them as high as second place. They stay single file here off of turn 4. If the 39 and the 26 stay lined up, they might be able to do something here heading into turn 1, but Batson's going to move low. Richardson's going to go with him. And now Richardson moves up. Now he moves back down. That's, oh, wow. You can just see, because of that, how they lose their forward momentum, and Watson opens the gap once again. They've got to stay single file down the back straightaway here, or Watson's home free. If anyone steps out of line, it's over. Nobody moving yet, and there goes Richardson. And that's going to do it. Benny Watson can just hold the bottom, and nobody's going to be able to get to his back bumper. What a rookie season for Benny Watson. His first win came at Dover. His second win will come at Daytona. He may be locked in the chase as Benny Watson takes the checkers here tonight at Daytona. Second win of his Hersheys Cup Series career here in his rookie season, only his 22nd start. The former Pizza Hut X Series champion could very well be heading to the Hersheys Cup Series playoffs with this victory. Waiting for everyone to cross the line here. Benny Watson, the biggest thing that played out for him right there was the green flag pit stops. Got him out in front, and then everybody behind him just seemed to want to battle more for the second position than they did wanting to put aside their differences, work together, and try battling for the lead. That second pack never had a chance of catching up. They finished over 5 seconds behind the leaders. Standings are official. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Benny Watson is the first rookie to win multiple races in a year since Matt Haas. And we all know what happened with the career of Matt Haas. Ended up going on to be an eventual Hersheys Cup Series champion. So bear that in mind. So Benny Watson, second win of the season for the rookie. He takes the checkered flag. It's the third win of the season for Flying Aces Racing overall. James Richardson will bring it home in second place with Daniel Voyles third. RJ Reynolds will finish in fourth, and fifth was Keith Batson. So second straight week that Batson finishes in the top 5. Brooke Allen will finish in 6th, Zachary Fitzwater in 7th, Sean Gallighan 8th, J Baskinger 9th, and Charles Sandfer kind of popped up there late to bring it home in the 10th position. 11th was JT Bryant, 12th Joshua Ciculli. Dallas McIntosh could very well keep himself in playoff contention with a 13th place run. Trent Dunham brings it home 4th after his win last week, and Cody Smart completes the top 15. And the rest of your top 20 were Leon Alvarez, Dylan Poteet, Brandon Gonzales, Blaine Keys, and Daniel Gilbert. A couple of notables that I should point out here. First off, Dylan Poteet finishing behind Dallas McIntosh, and he came behind Dallas McIntosh in the point standings tonight. And with Benny Watson's win, he leapfrogs all the drivers ahead of him. So now I believe that our point standings could very well have Dylan Poteet potentially out. The only saving grace might be if Dylan Young, with his 40th place run, falls outside the top 30 in points. Poteet might very well be spared. But Benjamin Miles finishes out this race in the 27th position. Right now, I don't think that's good enough for him to crack into one of those 16 playoff spots at this point in time. He needs a lot better finishes in the upcoming 4 races. Look on down through the finishing results down at the bottom of the grid there, and Dylan Young 40th, Jessica Shelton 41st, Jordan Anderson, that's one of the worst runs I think he's had all season, as he'll finish in 42nd, and a lot of that in part to the green flag pit stops we had in the middle of this race. But that is going to do it here tonight from Daytona. Benny Watson picks up career win number 2, taking the checkers here tonight at Daytona International Speedway. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's race. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to become a part of the crew today. We have shown your full finishing results. These are your rookie point standings and your overall point standings heading into next week's race. The 16 drivers highlighted in yellow are the drivers that would be participating in the chase for the championship should the regular season come to a close right now. Next week, trucks are off. We'll have the Pizza X Series at their race at Gateway, and then the Hersheys Cup Series, they're going to Pikes Peak. That track's always a lot of fun and usually a bit of a wild card race as well. Always seems to play a factor into who's going to make it into the playoffs and who isn't. Then the following week, we've got all 3 series racing at Hillside. Next week, it will be the Trucks and Hersheys Cup Series at the dirt track of DuQuoin, and then we cap off the regular season with all 3 series finishing it out at the Super Speedway of M&M's. But until then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the SARA, offline racing at its best. Good night from Daytona.